Hi everyone, it's Megan Anderson. Welcome to July's Pocket Your Year video chat. The chat is live, so you can ask questions while it's going. We can talk about anything pocket scrapbooking related. We can stick more closely to the topics that we're talking about this month, reassessment and organization. We can talk about the things that we are going to focus on in the upcoming months, which is catching up and a month of challenges, or we can just address any general thing that you want to chat about for fun, or any struggle areas, or anything that you would like to see come up in the class later. And we don't have to talk about pocket scrapbooking specifically because it also encompasses journaling and photo taking and memory keeping philosophy in general, so it doesn't just have to be all about the pockets. So welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be mostly throughout the chat checking the YouTube comments to see who to see what questions pop up. But if you were unable to comment on YouTube because you don't have an account, then I will also be checking the Facebook group in the pinned to the top, what do you call it, post. So the post that's pinned to the very top there is about the chat. It has information for the chat and the link to the chat, and that is the comment section there is where I'll be checking questions. So I'll be kind of going back and forth there. So if I get kind of like a vague look in my eyes, it is because I am reading for comments in those places. And also this chat, it's scheduled for an hour, but because we just had a chat a few weeks ago, you might not have an hour of things to talk about, and that is completely fine. So if we need to wrap up earlier, then that's okay. So I'll just make that decision based on like if not very many people are able to come to this one specifically, or if the questions kind of start trailing off. And also this chat, if you are watching a recorded version later, was a really bad time for folks in Europe, but I wanted to make sure that I got a good time for folks in Australia and Asia, because most of the things that are scheduled just in general, are in the middle of the night for those people. And I want to thank Kimberly for picking the time for us. I'm pretty sure it was Kimberly. I should have written it down, but for picking the time for us, because it's 7:00 p.m. here in Kansas City, where I am, and 10 a.m. Sunday in Australia. So that's not a ridiculous time for either zone. And I am happy to have that. I have a hello from Sydney, from Kimberly. Hey, I just talked about you, Kimberly, in the comments in the class. I'll be checking there too, but those comments are coming through in my email, so I might not see those as quickly as in the other two places. But you guys will kind of have to bear with me as I'm checking for comments in three places, which feels sort of silly. Also, my allergies are still bothering me, so my nose is itchy, and if I make really weird faces, then that or like mess with my nose, I apologize for that, because there's kind of nothing I can do. I took medicine, so at least I'm not snotting all over you right now, which, I mean, I'll take a little bit of like having to do this kind of thing over snot any day. So sorry about that. That's awkward. And to kick off, I'd love for you all to comment about kind of where you're at pocket scrapbooking wise, what you are currently working on, and how you are liking this month's content so far. If you started with your reassessment or your organization, I'd love to hear about that. I am in the middle of the purging part of reorganization. I'm done, as you saw in the post today, with all of the cards. So here's a big stack of cards, and here's a big stack of cards, and here's a smaller stack of cards. And I'll be breaking these down a little bit in a way that makes sense to give them away in the Facebook group. But first, I still am going to go through my embellishments and see if there are any of those I need to purge. Probably I'll have a lot less there, but that was one of my big organization things that I was doing lately. And then next, after I'm done with my purging, I'm gonna find another thing to do with my washi tape. You guys have seen that. I keep a lot of my washi tape in a drawer in rainbow order, and usually it's nice and neat. But my kids use washi tape a lot for just kid craft projects, so they kind of made a mess. I mean, not a big mess, but got some of them out of order, and I'll be redoing that. But I also have a bowl, because some of my washi tape is too tall to fit in my drawer, and it'll make the drawer get stuck. But I got a whole lot of new washi tape from Freckled Fawn today that I bought. So my bowl is overflowing, but I still want to keep all of the newer things on my desk, I think. So I'm going to maybe look into getting some rods of some sort to just sit them on. Like, if I can't find anything that has multiple little dowels sticking up, I might just get a paper towel holder and put them, at least some of them, on there, and then have some of them in the bowl. That might be a good solution, and it'll be easier to take them all off. And since it's vertical stacking on a paper towel holder, it will take up less space on my desk. So anyway, that's the small things that I'm looking into, but the little bitty things, they add up and they make a difference. And every little bit of organization I do is more space on my desk and more room to work, and it makes it faster for me to find the products I'm looking for, or products that'll work, and that means faster Pocket pages coming together. Also, okay, so Kimberly from Sydney is coming back in with a question in the classroom, and she says, my biggest problem is finding time. I have this space and definitely have all the stuff, but I struggle to make it priority over the kids in the house, etc. How do we make our hobbies more of a priority? And yes, it was me. So it was Kimberly that found the time. So thank you for that, Kimberly. So the time. So obviously it's easier for me to make it a priority because I can tell myself it's work. So even if I'm making a Pocket spread just for my blog and not for the class, or if I'm making a bunch of them, I can share them eventually. So it's easier for me to say, hey, it's important that I do this so that I have something for next week. And so this is more important than those dishes right now, which but it's not really true necessarily. Like, I don't need to do that. And if I don't blog, no one is coming after me with pitchforks and torches. So it's really kind of a way to just schedule it for myself. So that's not going to work for everyone, obviously. But if sharing motivates you, like talking about it with friends, then maybe sharing on a regular schedule. Like generally on my blog, I try to share on Thursdays. So sharing on a schedule might help you. But then again, I've been doing a ton of Pocket scrapbooking that I am not sharing because it would be almost all blurred because it's about our foster baby. So there's no point in sharing a page with, let's see, 8 pockets, and you can only see 2 of the pockets. Like there's no point in sharing that. So the telling myself it's work thing isn't the only motivating factor, but it does all come down to prioritization for me. So I'm kind of double pocket scrapbooking right now because I'm doing things from the past for classes and things for the present for me. And so I'm watching less TV in the evenings. So after my kids go to bed, like I might, while I'm actually watching probably the same amount of TV, but I'm rerunning shows that I've already seen, like in a little box on my computer screen, instead of like sitting like a couch potato or doing nothing, or the time in the evening when I would normally read. Some of that is spent pocket scrapbooking, or I also involve my kids in it. So when I'm putting together a spread, Eliza scrapbooks, Jonah scrapbooks a little bit. The baby likes to get into my supplies, so they can be doing stuff in here with me while I'm doing a few things. And normally those aren't, I can't do anything really involved when they're in here. Like I'm not going to heat emboss with stamping or cut something on my silhouette, but I can print out some photos. I can pick out some cards here and there when they're busy. I also will bring toys in here. Like sometimes we have like a kitchen play set, so I'll bring the kitchen play set in here and they can play, so that I'm watching them, but you know, they can play with each other. I don't have to be playing with them all the time, so I can get some time for myself while I have time for them also. And then as for cleaning, so I'm not good at that. I'm not good at cleaning. My house is always just a mess. Like it's ridiculous. And I feel like I spend a lot of time cleaning, but it also feels like the results are futile. So I think that is another thing that helps me prioritize pocket scrapbooking, because that's something I have forever. Whereas if I mop the floor today, I'm going to have to mop it again tomorrow. So I might as well just mop it every other day, which, I mean, not everybody's going to have that perspective, and that's fine. But that's a life choice that I made. So, and delegating chores to the kids, some of them helps too. But as Kim said, it all comes down to prioritizing. And another thing that I found is that I will not prioritize it if I don't feel like pocket scrapbooking. And if I don't feel like scrapbooking, there's usually a reason, like I'm behind in the amount of photos overwhelms me, or, you know, my desk is, you can't see my desk, or there are things that I need to do that I don't really feel like doing before I feel like I should be able to get to the things that I want to do, like things that I've set out to do for like a blog hop or something, and I don't have any great ideas yet. So if I'm not feeling it, usually there's a reason, and pinpointing that reason can help me get past the not feeling it, and then I'll be more likely to prioritize it. So sometimes that is getting a new product will spark my interest because I'll get ideas based on it. Just looking through photos will spark my interest because I will get ideas. Writing in a journal, not near any of my pocket scrapbooking supplies, can sometimes help, because that'll help me get the stories out if I'm kind of feeling stuck on the creative side. So it might just be that you are really busy and you're tired and you don't feel like standing up or sitting down to work on things, and that's fine. But if it is that there's something holding you back, then try to pinpoint what that is and then focus on that problem, because most of the time that that can help you out. And if you have anything else that you want to talk about on prioritization, we can, because I kind of didn't answer that very directly. Oh, Kate says I'm logged into YouTube. How do I comment? Let's see if she figured out how to comment here on YouTube. Nope. Oh, unless I need to refresh it. Oh, there's 4 comments. I wasn't refreshing, so that's my problem. So Kate, if you're listening, so you can either comment in the comment section below. If you scroll down below the video, then it'll say all comments, and then there'll be a little box that says share your thoughts if you're on a phone or an iPad or a phone or a tablet, it might look a little different. But that is where those are. But if you can't figure out the YouTube commenting, then you can also comment in the classroom underneath the post where the video is embedded, or in the Facebook post where you just asked the questions about how to comment. So I'm checking in each place, which slows me down a little, but makes it more likely that everybody's questions can be heard, and that is the important thing. Okay, so YouTube comments. Kristen says, I would rather have scrapbooks than daily mopped floors. That is how I feel, but not everyone feels that way, and that is fine. Then you're a cleaner person than I am. like different people have different priorities, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I hate cleaning, and so that's never going to be my priority. I kind of have to. I've been better. I have to pride myself into it. I listen to podcasts or audiobooks while I'm cleaning, and that makes time go by faster. But or like I don't really clean on the weekends unless we're having a family party thing, because weekends are not for cleaning, except for like dishes. That doesn't count. Those are things I need to do. So Kristen says, hi, Megan, I'm several weeks behind, but I'm okay with that. The last week I finished was the week I was visiting your house. I'm getting stuck on printing my photos right now. I have not done the week that you visited my house, Kristen, because there are so many photos, and I've done like some scrapbook pages and things, but I'm taking my time with those because they're fun. And when two scrapbookers get together, they take a lot of photos. And Kristen was good and just like did them in a double page spread, the photos of her visit. But I have she was here for 5 days, and I think that's going to end up being, right now I already have 2 traditional layouts, an insert, and 1 pocket page, not a spread, but a page. And and a spread, because there was a day in the life in there. So I already have 5 things. But I'm not done yet. I overdo it, and I don't care. That's fine. Because I have fun with it, and they're awesome pictures, and they're fun to work with. Stuck on printing your photos. Kristen, is it that you don't want to choose them, you don't want to edit them, or you don't want to physically print them, or the combination of those things? Answer that, because that helps. But we're doing catching up next month, and the main thing that we're going to focus on is batching. So printing and editing photos is not my favorite part. So I almost always do that while I'm like watching Game of Thrones in a little corner of my laptop, because that makes it better. But I don't particularly like uploading them either. But I have a process, so it goes pretty quick. But it's still just, it holds me back sometimes, because that's not the part of it, the part of the process that I enjoy. But I mean, I have to do it to be able to do the part that I do enjoy. So sometimes it helps me to just ignore all the things that I think that I need to do, and just focus on the spread that I really want to work on, that I'm excited to work on. Because then, even if that means I'm skipping 3 weeks and then working on a spread that happened 2 weeks ago, and so I'm not going in chronological order anymore, I'm leaving a gap in my album, that gets me pocket scrapbooking again. So it doesn't really matter that it's not in order. It matters that that is what is going to get me to do it. Other times, I will do batch scrapbooking, which is what we're talking about next month. So this month I printed photos for 10 spreads. And it wasn't 10 full weeks, like some of them are for holiday spreads like Easter. And one of them was for a day in the life, but 10 spreads to get me caught up for this spring. And then I'll be doing the same process next month, and I'll show I'm actually starting to do it now, but I'm recording videos of every step that I do to print out. I probably won't do 10 spreads because that's a lot to film, but at least like 4 to 8 is what I'm going for spreads for my 2011 album. And I'm going to go ahead and upload those to Persnickety and have them email me. So you'll see how I'm batching all of those, but then it's just getting the thing that I don't like doing out of the way all at once. So now that I have my spreads for this year batched, I can just go in and work on it in little bits whenever I have 5 minutes. So when I have 5 minutes, I can pick cards for a spread. Usually I leave like one spot because I don't know what journaling I need, so I don't worry if I can't fill every card spot, but I'll just fill in cards, or I will just pick out what embellishments I want to use on a spread, or I will just work on journaling one card. So that way, if I just have little bits of time here and there, I can work on it. So that's one of the benefits of batching, because it's ripping off the Band-Aid. It's getting rid of the thing that I don't want to do all at once, so that all of the little extra time that I have can be spent on working on the parts that I do like to do. And I've completed like at least a spread a day that way, and sometimes 2. And I'm only spending after the photos are printed, like maybe 15 to 45 minutes, depending on how complicated I want the spread to be and how much time there is. But I'm also simplifying those spreads that I'm batching because I'm trying to get a lot done. So that is one way. I mean, that doesn't really fix your problem, but it is, it's how I'm doing it. And Kristen says it was all 3 of those. She doesn't want to think about the stories to pick out the photos. Once I get the photos picked out and printed, then I'm totally good to go. Yeah, just ripping it off. And Kristen for our trip narrowed it down by only using the photos that I posted to Instagram and 2 other photos. This way I knew I would get it done. See, I'm using all the photos that I took and all the photos that Kristen took, because we took like the photos off each other's phones and cameras before she left. Because when I went to go visit her last year, I never gave her the photos that I took when I went to visit her. So I was like, let's not do that again. And I gave her the photos from last year and the photos from this trip all at once. So that worked. I don't want to think about the stories to pick out the photos. What I do, I mean, you guys already know from earlier videos, is that I pull photos that I like into a folder for the week. So I'll have a folder for the dates, and I pull the photos out of iPhoto. So I'm just looking at the photos that I think I want to work with. But that way I can whittle down photos easier if they're not, if I want to prioritize some photos over others, I can just put some of them in the trash bin. Or if some photos don't end up working for the spread, or if I decide, hey, I have too many photos for the spread, I'm going to pull a couple out to tell stories with traditional pages or end of the month pages instead. But pulling all of them into one folder without thinking about what I'm going to do with them at that point is helpful to me, because then I'm only answering what photos from this week do I like? And then once I've narrowed it down to those, I can ask myself, what am I going to do with these photos? So separating those questions out into different actions is helpful to me, instead of trying to decide both things while I'm looking at all of the possible photos, if that makes sense. So something like that might be helpful. My pages are Jay in Australia says, my big question is, how do you organize all your photos? I see you jump around from 2011 to 2015. How do you know where you are up to, etc.? So you can see part of how I organize the photos. I will have to see I'm pretty sure it was in February, but I'll have to double check and see what month the content was. But when you see, it might have been the January content. When you can see me with my iPhoto library pulling photos from iPhoto into folders on my computer. So what I do is I have different iPhoto libraries for every year, and I do that because I have so many photos. So if I tried to keep them all in one library, it would crash my computer or make it run really slow. So I have I start a new iPhoto library every year, and I'm pretty sure iPhoto is getting discontinued. So I'm gonna have to come up with other options. But being able to look through my photos visually is really important to me. I don't want to have to click a folder to see every week. So when I'm choosing what photos I want to use, I don't want those folders. I want all the big list of photos laid out before me. And then but I like the folders for when I'm actually planning the design of the spread, so that my options are more limited and I can just work with the photos that I'm choosing for then. So I have my folders are broken down. So my iPhoto libraries are broken down by year, and that automatically organizes everything chronologically. And then my folders, I have a Project Life folder, and then inside the Project Life folder there are the different years, like 2010, 2011, and then 2013, 2014, 2015. The ones, because for some of the past years I still have to do Christmas. I avoid Christmas because I've already documented most everything in Project or in December Daily and the week of Christmas, and then right after that is my son's birthday. So that last week I have a hard time finishing. Anyway, so within those, so I have a folder for every year that has albums that are still not completed. And I don't want them to be all the way completed, those albums from past years. I'm not in any rush to do that because that's kind of my side project, so that I don't have to. So when I want to scrapbook, I don't only have the current year as an option. Within each of those folders, I have dates by week. So all of the weeks that I've picked out photos for, I have the week. So it'll say like I have a July, I'm working on, in 2011 right now, I'm working on June and July. So right now in my computer tabs, I have a July 2011 calendar pulled up so that I could make a folder for all the weeks in July. So it'll be like the 1st to 9th and 10th to 16th and 17th to 23rd, 24th to 30, excuse me, 31st. So I'll look at the month and I'll make all of those folders that have the weekly dates. And then I'll pick all the photos out from my iPhoto library all at once and put them into their folder. And there'll be a video of that later in the month, probably for the rest of July and August, something like that. So there'll be a video of me, of a screen capture of me actually doing that. So you'll see that. And then I have a done folder. So when I've finished, I don't need to store the photos in 2 places. So when I've finished printing the photos, I throw those away because they're already in my iPhoto and I don't need to take up the hard drive space with them still in the folders. And then I'll put the pictures of the Project Life spreads into that folder. And then I have inside each year folder, I have a done folder. So when I'm finished with a certain week, I can put it in the done folder so that I don't have to look at that week anymore. I know just the ones that I'm working on or that I have left to complete are in that folder. But I don't go ahead and print. I don't make a folder for every month. So right now there's only up to there's some June ones and some July ones in my 2011, and there's some March ones and some June ones in my 2015. but there's not. But I haven't made July folders yet because I don't need to in my 2015. I haven't made September folders yet in 2011 because I'm not there yet. And I also for my pages or my projects from the past, I've made some traditional pages I needed to work on too. So I'll pull out that album and see what I already have, and I'll work that into whatever my plan is for 2011. Sorry, I'm like got all sorts of tickles in my throat, and that's not good. Okay, so back to, that was a Facebook comment, back to the YouTube comments. Mia is not happy that I'm not saying hi. Hi, Mia. Starting at the bottom and working my way up, friend. Oh, Kate was at the Google Hangout and not the YouTube. Yeah, it's annoying that it posts on Google Plus too, but there's not really anything I can do about that, because to get it to go to YouTube, it also goes there. But because not very many people use Google Plus, I didn't think that I should. Maybe next time I'll have that up too, to make sure that nobody's asking comments there. But I tried to put the YouTube link, the direct YouTube link, in the Facebook group post, so look for that next time. So Kristen said through a direwolf. So yeah, so I sent Kristen, I get a box of like nerdy things in the month from a nerd subscription called Loot Crate, which I absolutely love. And there was a Game of Thrones direwolf USB drive in there, and I gave that to Kristen, and that's what I put the photos on. So little gifts for friends are fun. So Jen says, how do you decide what gets a layout and what gets a PL spread? And she says she also overdoes it, which is why we're friends, because we totally get each other. Most people think we're crazy, but we're like this. Anyway, so part of it is if I just have an idea for a spread. Like if I have a lot of photos to work with, my default is going to be pocket scrapbooking. But if I really like a photo and I'm like, hey, that'll go good with these products that I just got, like sometimes it's just arbitrary and I just feel like it. Sometimes it is because there are so many photos, it is actually easier for so many photos about a single event that it's easier for me to squish them into a layout than it is for me to figure out how to squish them into pocket protectors, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's easier to work with like little teeny sizes for me in pocket spreads. Sometimes it's just something that a story that I want to draw attention to. I want it to stand out. A lot of the times it is because I've already had a busy week and I don't have room in a spread for all of my photos. And there's also a bigger story that I want to tell. So if, so sometimes something that if it were a slower week, it would go in a pocket spread. But because there's a bunch of other stuff going on, it'll go into a traditional spread. Also, if I want to tell a story with just one photo, I will almost always make a traditional spread, because unless I just want one tiny photo and a bunch of pockets of writing, I don't like making pocket spreads with just one photo. So it's weird that with the traditional scrapbooking for me, it kind of goes from one end of the spectrum to the other. It's either like I have a ton of little tiny photos, or I have one big photo that I want to stick with. Or I mean, and sometimes it's because I have products that I want to use with it too. So like I'm on the Freckled Fawn creative team, and I really like, they don't say that I have to make anything specific. I mean, I don't have to make pocket spreads, and I don't have to make traditional layouts. I don't have to make cards. I can just do whatever sparks my fancy, but usually I end up doing some layouts and some pocket spreads. But sometimes the products come in for those, and they go well with a story that I want to tell, either from now or the past, and just the idea that I have for it is a traditional page. And or the idea that I have for it is Pocket Page. So I just kind of go with where my brain takes me, which isn't very helpful to you. But let's see. I also, it also matters how I have my album set up. So if I have, I said earlier that when I do the folders, I have the weekly folders, and then I'll pull things out if they don't fit into the weekly thing, or I think I might want to tell a different story with them. So every month I have a folder that says the month and then extra. So there's a folder that says July extra and June extra. Excuse me. And so some of those I'll have an idea for right away. And then whichever ones I have left over, I'll know that I need to put on the back of whatever I have in my album. So if I have the back of, say hang on, I'm going to get an album. So this is 2011, the one that's starting in May, and you just saw this in the reassessment video. So So right now I've only done one spread for May so far, and this is May 22nd to 28th. So I'll have to look in my folder and see what I have. I don't know if the end of the month is going to be a whole spread or if it'll just go on the back of here. But I also have for May this this layout, which again, like part of it was the products, the Freckle Fun products, where I was like, hey, I know how I can use all those ampersands. And part of it's really loving this photo. I wanted it to be huge because it's the first time my kids met their little baby cousin when they were all together. And so I knew that when I looked in my May extra folder, I knew that I wanted another 12 by 12 to go on the back of this page protector. So I made this page a 12 by 12, which is an example of me having a ton of photos and not wanting to put it in Pocket Pages. And then I also know this is June 1 to 4th, so I'll have, for the rest of my June extra stuff, I will have another, I want to put one other thing into pockets because I need to use this space. So that's part of what I think about too, is when I've made, because of how I do it with the months and then extra stuff in between the months, I know that I need to fill in those pages. So I can't really show you my albums for right now because, again, foster baby, but like for May, I made an 8.5 by 11 page about my daughter's haircut that she got. So when I knew that I wanted to make another 8.5 and 11 page about something else that I don't even remember what it is right now, I could probably find out really fast. Anyway, but I wanted to make another traditional layout, so I knew that I would want to have it 8.5 by 11, so it would fit the back of that. So I'm also always thinking about how the albums come together. But my way of doing it means it makes my spread or my album so much bulkier, because in addition to whatever's going in between, I also need to have something on the backs of the pages on the backs of the weekly spreads in between. So if you want to mix in traditional pages with pocket scrapbooking and you don't want to add a lot of bulk to an album, a good way to do it is either smaller layouts as inserts or just doing traditional layouts in the back of your album. So instead of splicing them in between each month, like I do, splice them in between every 3 months, or it depends on how many, what am I trying to say? How many months your albums contain. Okay. So I haven't made the other spread yet, which is why I was drawing a blank, but I have a really cute picture of our foster baby in front of a graffiti wall, and the picture just looks really cool. So I'm going to print it out, the whole picture out 8.5 by 11, and then do like little bits of journaling and a title directly on the picture. But the size that I'm making the layout was determined by another page that I already did. Oh, Facebook keeps crashing. I don't know why. Don't crash things. Okay, so Jason's maybe need to flag photos that are done. That's a really good idea. I usually, if I have a lot of photos that are similar and I'm trying to decide in between, or I'm trying to decide which ones I want to keep, then I'll flag the ones that I like so that at the end I'll look at the flagged ones. That's how I use flags. But that's a great idea. If you don't want to pull things into folders. Let's see. Oh, and then Jay says, how do you organize all your albums and pages? I use Lightroom for photos, which is fabulous. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to switch to Lightroom now that iPhoto is not going to be supported anymore, but it's going to take a lot to transfer everything, so I will probably honestly drag my feet with that. So how I organize all my albums and pages. I do everything roughly chronologically, so that helps me. I used to do my albums by kind of subject or person. So Eliza had her own albums, and then there was one about me and Jake, and there was one about just me, my childhood ones, and then one that was for like family and friends. But I noticed that when I was thinking about scrapbooking that way, and this is like in 2009, probably 2010, that I was missing a lot of stories that I wanted to tell. I didn't tell as many relationship stories that way. I didn't tell as many just like, hey, this is what we went out and did. Or if I did, it was always like from the perspective of one specific person or about one specific person. So I decided I wanted to just do them chronologically, especially after, especially when I became pregnant with my son, because I worked in a local scrapbooking store and I saw a lot of people making duplicate pages for each of their kids' albums, and it like stressed them out trying to make sure that their kids' albums had like an equal amount of pages and things like that. And I didn't want to deal with any of that. So I decided to just do roughly chronological family albums. So that way, because my albums are chronological and my photos are chronological, it is really easy for me to match up and see what is missing photos wise. And then I might also have stories I want to tell that don't have photos at all, or that they don't have specific photos, but I can just use, like if I'm telling a story about somebody's personality, it doesn't really matter what is going on in the photo. I can just put a picture that I like of that person that doesn't have a story behind it. So they can kind of match together that way. But with the chronological organization, it's really easy to find where the gaps are. And I say roughly chronological because if I have two spring layouts that were in spring but are in different months, I'm that can be back to back in a page protector, and it makes sense in the flow of my album. I'm not going to worry about that they're in the wrong place and make two extra spreads just to fill that space in the album, if that makes sense. But I can grab one of the older ones. I think, let's see, these are 2000. This is 2010. Which one has more pocket scrapping in it? Probably not. Neither one of them have a whole big ton. Anyway, but this is and sorry if you saw my butt. I didn't think about that. I'm not very ladylike and I don't wear a lot of dresses. So they're not all done. So I don't have a title page. I'm really bad at making title pages. I almost never do. And then, so for this, I blogged it recently, but I made this traditional page first. And then, I made a pocket page that is about a different but similar topic that matched it just because they're facing each other. And then I have spaces here where I can add in things, because I have plenty more that I can work on. And then, stuff about buying our house. This is a mini book that's in a bag here. That's pocket pages. And then just some general fall stuff. So this is a 8.5 by 11, and I still have another 8.5 by 11. a thematic pocket page because this is 2010, so I'm not doing weekly stuff for that because I don't have enough photos from 2010, which is why I started a 365 in 2011. So Halloween stuff, moving into the house stuff. So you can see there's a lot of gaps. Halloween, this is like it's my first double page digital spread. Made the words way too big because I didn't think enough about my font size on that. There's a cute Eliza story, another blank pocket space that I can use. Getting keys to our house. Like there's a lot of house stuff in here, but and then I go straight from that to because I do have weekly spreads at the end because I was doing December daily, so I can do that. So then it jumps straight from like Halloween to Christmas, and then some unfinished pocket spreads and some finished ones about my son being born. Mixing pocket and traditional pages. So when I want to work on this 2010 album, I will pull up my iPhoto. I will see what photos I have in there, or I might start out with the story and then just go directly to what I want to tell. But then I'll go to my album and see if kind of the space left in there, if there's a space left in there that I can use, and that'll determine my format for the story that I'm telling. But then if there's like a really big chronological gap, then it doesn't really matter. Like for instance, if I was doing something about Thanksgiving, wouldn't really matter what format I did into it since I jumped from Halloween to Christmas, and I'm sure there's other stuff that I can put before and behind it, if that makes sense. And then I don't know, there's a lot of Jonas stuff. So this album is basically like House plus Jonas being born, guest starring a little bit of holiday stuff. So but those are the stories that are important for me to tell, and then I can go in and fill in little bitty stories as I have time or as I'm inspired to. So I hope that maybe that helps answer the question about how I organize and how I jump around from year to year. So I just think about them as separate projects that I'm working on, really, and that helps. And a lot of times, if I'm working on an older project, it's usually because I'm caught up and I'm out of things to scrapbook and I really want to, which is usually only going to happen at the beginning of the year. I'm frustrated with what I'm documenting right now and I want to avoid it, or I can't share what I'm documenting right now, which is what's happening right now, and so to keep the ball rolling for me, I need to go back into the past. So, and I also, if you guys follow my blog, you know that I do monthly Nerd Nest challenges, and those help me to get out of the groove of documenting just what's going on right now, which is my general go-to, because I have to kind of think outside of the box with those ideas to make multiple things fit those ideas. So doing challenges is a fun way to to get yourself kind of out of that box there. Kate says, for keeping track of where I am on spreads, I use a simple checklist in my planner. I've tried keeping track electronically, but paper checklists work well for me. That is a great solution, Kate. That is especially a good solution if you're doing pocket scrapbooking weekly and you're numbering your weeks. Also, I think I've probably said this before, but if you're numbering weeks and you're jumping around, go in on your calendar and just whatever day your week starts, like Sunday or Monday or whatever, just go in on your digital or paper calendar and number the weeks in that calendar so that you can reference that and use that to figure out what week you're on when you're jumping around. So that is a really simple thing that can help you. Jay, that is where the comments should go, but they can totally go in the Facebook group too. Both work. Kimberly says, I got a new iMac and it has the new Photos app versus iPhoto. Oh, okay. So it's a little bit different, but not horrible. So they're replacing it with something completely new. See, I'm not up on the uptake. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but I should have checked that already. Kimberly says use smart folders in there to work out my different time frames. So at the beginning of each year, I set up smart folders for each time frame that I'm looking for, so that when I load my pics into my computer or they're uploaded via iCloud, they automatically go into the date folder. That's smart. Also, I back up my photos on Flickr because it is free for me to do that. It's not the most convenient way to download everything if there's a disaster, but I have them on my computer, on a hard drive, and in Flickr, and I do those by month. So at the end of the month, I do that all at once. I was having photos from my phone automatically going to iCloud, but it annoyed me because I take a ton of pictures. Like I'll just rapid fire with my iPhone and take like 20 pictures of one thing, especially of the kids because they're moving targets and half of them are going to be blurry. And then I go in and delete everything but like the 3 or 4 good ones. Also, I turn the sound off on my phone when I'm doing that so that I don't sound crazy taking 30 photos. Whether or not I am crazy is still like up for debate, but nobody will look at me funny if I turn the sound off so they don't hear the clicking anyway. But I don't like messing with having to delete those. I already have to delete them from my recently deleted folder and my regular folder, so I don't want to have to go delete them on the cloud too. And that, I don't know, it was driving me crazy, and it got duplicated, and I'm sure I could have fixed all of those things had I been willing to mess with it, but I wasn't. I think being married to someone in the tech field has made me very lazy with technology, because he it's not that like I ask him to take over everything and that I can't do it myself. It's that he's like so excited about the new things that he takes them over and sets things up, so I don't get the chance to learn it as well because I'm not fiddling with it as much anyway. So it's made me a little bit lazy with things. I will admit it. Everybody has their strong suits. That is not mine. Jay says, so I need to pull out everything I've ever scrapbooked and reorganize my albums and put them all in chronological order, then pocket scrapbook in between. Jay, I didn't mean to send you on a big old spree. If that is what works for you, then that's fine. But even within my like themed albums, like the Eliza ones were roughly chronological too. But I do like going in and adding pocket spreads in between my old albums that just have traditional spreads in them, because a lot of times if I skipped something, it was because there were a whole lot of photos and I didn't know what to do with them, or couldn't figure out a good way to do them on a traditional page. I also, for like family and parties and things, I used to tend to just scrapbook about my immediate family, even though we have pictures of our extended family. So I want to go back and make more pocket spreads with pictures of our extended family, because those people are important too. It just didn't fit in with my process as well. So those are great for pocket scrapbooking, because I might not have a lot to say about that, but I can get a whole lot of photos in there and make it look nice. So, but sorry if I sent you on a crazy spree right there. Jay. Okay, so we are gonna wrap up soon. So get in your final questions and comments, and you guys can let me know if you want to do this again in August, or sorry, no, July. Did I say at the beginning that? Oh, you know what? I think that I named this July Pocket Year Chat. And I did it in the classroom too, and I'm just now noticing that. So I really hope that did not confuse people, even though it says so big. The thing that I made in June. I am sorry if I messed anyone up with that mistake. Anyway, if feel dumb. Okay, so if we want to do it again in July, or if we want to wait till August, let me know in the Facebook group, and we can figure out if we how often we want to do the chats going forward, if this is something that you guys enjoy doing. Yes, it's taking so much for me to not just go and change that right now and for me to pay attention to you, but it's not gonna matter. They both have 4 letters. They're both in summer. They both start with J. So silly. Okay. Well, and again, if you were watching the recorded version of this and you did not catch the live version because I cannot tell my months, then I am sorry. And we will do more chats, and you will be able to catch them. Oh. Okay, so if there aren't any other questions or comments, we will wrap this up, and you can look forward to a bunch more on reassessment and organization. This month we're going after, see, we just did purging, so we're going to talk about organizing small spaces next, like for reassessment, when you should know that it's time to change and when it's not working for you. And we're going to talk about, for reassessment, keeping agile, which the reassessment content is a little like the sparks are just kind of going deeper into what the video went into, so it's not completely new information. And then I will have a organization after video, like the before video. So that is what we're looking at for the rest of June before we get started on the catching up, which is what I'm really excited about doing, because I have already started working on that unit, and I'm excited for you guys to jump in and be able to do that with me. And I also want to announce to you a plan that I have for our July and August. So we have catching up in July, and then in August we have, it's just going to be tons and tons of challenges, like a challenge a day. It might be a challenge a weekday instead of a challenge a day, including weekends. We'll have to see how much I can get done. But after those 2 months, I'm going to have, I'm going to calculate with fancy math what our target goal is. And we're going to have a target goal for layout shared. And if as a class we reach the target goal for layout shared after those 2 months, I will do a bonus month of content in January 2016 for free. So just I'll extend the class 1 month because that it's fun to have a prize at the end of the tunnel. And if there is one, then it can motivate everyone to finish their layouts and to share. And because both of those months are very get a lot done centered months, if we put them together, like say you take the catching up content and you batch things and you get lots of photos printed and layouts sketched out, and then with all the challenges in August, you can get them decorated and embellished. Like hopefully over those 2 months as a class, we'll all finish a lot of pocket scrapbooking. So hopefully that will work and motivate everyone, and it will also be inspiring to see all those pages shared. So I'm really excited about that, and you guys get to hear in the chat about it first, and I will announce it in the classroom probably not until July when we start those units. So so that I hope will be a fun addition. And okay, so to wrap up, Jay says, thanks for an awesome chat, Megan. I've got my organization goal for the month with reorganizing my album. Super excited. Yay, Jay. I'm excited, and please let us know how that goes. Like I love seeing photos of what you're working on, and it gives me ideas as well. So I'm sure that a lot of people share that. I love that we can get ideas from each other. And Rachel says, I'm excited for catching up too, because I need it. By this time of the year, I think pretty much everybody needs it, unless you're on like an uber fancy creative design team that like motivates you to catch up, or it's like your job, by this point, everybody's going to be, especially if you do it weekly, a little bit behind. But that's fine. It's a hobby. And that just means that we have more that we get to make over the next couple months. Thank you all for joining in on this chat with me, and I hope that you have a fantastic weekend and that you're enjoying the content here in June. And what else? Let me know about future chats in the Facebook group, and we will get one on the calendar for July if that's something that we all want to do. All right. Thank you all, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday night in the States and the US, and your Sunday morning in Australia and Asia, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.